How we doing, everybody? Welcome to the Sports Life Network Soccer Report. I'm Rob. Today I'm with Seth
What's up?
and Nick.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah, we lost the other two. I don't know where they are. They're either sleeping or doing something. I don't know. They could be doing a lot of things. Watching cartoons at the TV. You never know. But this episode, this is going to be different from what we've usually been doing. Since more stuff is coming back, we're gonna focus more on the big stuff instead of just focusing on one league in specific. So to start off, we're going to talk the Bundesliga, which we're accustomed to already. So in the Bundesliga, we had some good results. Let me pull them up real quick. So start off the match week, we had Freiburg defeating Mönchengladbach 1-0. Leverkusen loses to Bayern Munich 4-2. Frankfurt loses to Mainz 2-0. Dusseldorf and Hoffenheim draw 2-2. Same thing in Leipzig and Paderborn draw 1-1. Dortmund beat Hertha Berlin 1-0. Wolfsburg beat Werder Bremen 1-0. Union Berlin and Augsburg and Cologne both are all draw 1-1. Oh, Nick, what do you got for this?
Well, I mean, it seems that no one wants that, the third and fourth spot. Leipzig, can't get the win. Leverkusen dropping points again, and, same thing with Mönchengladbach. But, I mean, I guess I want to start off by talking about this Leverkusen-Bayern game because, I mean, some records started tumbling. Lewandowski obviously hit 30 goals. And Florian Wirtz became the youngest ever Bundesliga goal scorer at, I guess, 17 years and 34 days. Very well taken goal. And obviously, the big stat from the weekend, Thomas Müller takes the all-time single-season assist record in the Bundesliga at 20. Passes KDB and, Emil Forsberg, who are on 19. But Müller did it in significantly less minutes. Obviously, passing to better strikers, but let's give credit where credit's due.
And let's not slate Bastos there on the KDB record because that would be truly offensive to one of the best target men.
No,
He had a very good season that year.
No, the one thing we should always we're all excited for is that Schalke didn't lose. They finally gained a point.
Got a point. David Wagner will be quite happy. There was talk in the week that his job was on the line.
And how look at Schalke's last couple games, you wouldn't. I don't know why you'd want to work there anymore. It's like nothing's working for him right now. It almost seems like they just don't want to win.
Just falling to mid-table, it'll happen, and that's their season kind of done and forgotten.
Yeah, they just need a hard reset on the year.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, Bayern Munich win again. Nothing special there. Really, it's all but over. Bayern just need to cruise their way into the last few match weeks, and then they're set. They got yet another one. I don't know how many. I don't know how much in a row that makes it, but it's a lot.
I believe they've won from 2013-14 till now every single season. The title, because I'm pretty sure Dortmund took the Bundesliga title in 2012-13 and then lost.
2012. So 2012-13 was Bayern.
Is when they won the treble.
Bayern again. Okay,
Yeah.
so it was 11-12. So it was 11-12 was the last time a different team won.
Yeah,
correct.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in a row.
Burn Leno's statement earlier.
This would be 8 in a row. 8 in a row.
Yeah, Burn Leno's statement earlier this week when he was interviewed definitely rings true. He said that it's just a boring league because they win every single time and there's really no competition. And obviously he played for Bayer Leverkusen for a while, and that was when Bayer Leverkusen were like comfortably in the top 4. And it still wasn't even competitive really, except for in his earliest years when in like the 2010 time when Dortmund was just about good enough to make it really competitive. But
this was really their year. This was their year. They just really blew it against them.
I would have put money on Leipzig, honestly.
I would have put money on Leipzig too. I think
last year, I mean, they were incredibly strong. They just underperformed. And obviously, under Julian Nagelsmann, you'd expect just massive attacking output, which they have got. Their attack has been better than it has been last season. But as we saw this weekend, they just can't win a game. They're on 11 draws. That's the same as Schalke. That's for the most in the Bundesliga. That's an insane amount. And if you can't win at home, simple enough, you're not going to win the league.
Yeah, you're not going to win nothing. Yeah, you won't even win the support of your fans because we all know we all know that club. We all love that club.
And for a club that's very new to the league, they do have very good support. Like they have one of the highest attendances of anyone in the league. But like when you have no fans in the stadium, it's a completely different scenario. And even before there were no fans in the stadium, they still weren't winning games at home. So it's like the situation's even worse for them now. I just think it's always such an attacking lineup from Leipzig, and it seems like if they can't score 3 or more goals, they struggle. Every game they can't score 3 or more goals, they struggle, and it just comes down to like
that's actually a really good point.
Games.
Just given the attack of the massive attacking lineup, I mean they have like players like Haidara and Tyler Adams who could easily slot in. In a more defensive role in the midfield, but they throw, Sabitzer, Schick, Werner, Nkunku, everybody into the attack. And so, that's where they have these games where they just, Upamecano gets sent off and all of a sudden they're on the back foot.
And in recent times, they've sold Ilsanker, Diego Dama, who are 2 very defensive midfielders. Both of those players have moved on. Ilsanker is now at Frankfurt, who aren't doing well either. But, I think he would have added some stability there. But there's all these plaudits that are given for the center backs of Leipzig. And there's been some attention for Klosterman recently, and he's been moved from right back to center back. But, like, if your midfield isn't enough to shield you, you're going to struggle eventually. You can't just have these center backs pulling out man-of-the-match performances every game against the better teams. But, I mean, they're dropping points against one of the worst teams in the league. And the red card doesn't help, The worst team.
and looking forward, it's hard to see how they actually go on and win the league because, the news come out this weekend that Timo Werner, I guess the Chelsea have agreed to pay his release clause. I guess there's nothing signed yet.
There's a verbal agreement between Werner and Chelsea. So big Frank Lampard's going like, I finally got my score.
And that's going to be a lethal attack. The likes of
Abraham.
Ziyech coming in. You've got Tammy Abraham already. It'll be interesting to see how they set up next season in Chelsea with Werner because he is absolutely elite. 25 goals, 8 assists in the Bundesliga. I mean, that's top 3 along with Jadon Sancho and Lewandowski in terms of goal involvements.
Yeah, I feel like he's going to be successful. Like he's not going to be one of those players that come in from Germany or La Liga or something like that and just blow in the Premier League. I think he's actually going to be good, especially for Frank Lampard, especially how Frank Lampard plays the game, how he treats his players. Very young, I can't speak. Frank Lampard's a very young coach. He's an experienced player, fantastic player. He's coached the Chelsea team very well, even though you look at the table, they're kind of in it, kind of not. For first year, after coming off one previous job, Frank Lampard's done a good job. And this is probably the biggest signing yet for him. So I think this would be a really good testament to see what he does with this one. But other than that, we got anything else on the Bundesliga?
Yeah, I would just say it's pretty interesting to see what some of these teams will look like when their talismanic forward moves on. I'm sure Leipzig will have to readjust tactically because Werner was so.
Yeah, Nick was saying that like they couldn't score. So what's going to happen when your scorer leaves?
Mm-hmm.
So
I think Schick has been good. Schick has been good. Poulsen has been good. You hope that they can rejig things. I mean, it is a Nagelsmann side.
Mhm.
He'll get the best out of some middling players.
If he can make Belfodil score 14 league goals, then I'm sure he can make Schick or more than 5 or whatever Schick has so far.
Yeah. And he's had a good back half of the season, Patrick Schick, and
Yeah.
I think it's just because he's settled, and since the restart he's hit, I think it's 3, so I think definitely some quality in the side.
Certainly. And Jean Van Augustin still on loan at
Yep.
Leeds United. They could take him back. And also, I think there are some players in that team who have been playing bit part roles who could come back and influence the attack again, like Emil Forsberg could come back and influence the attack more. And Nkunku's been pretty much a revelation in that midfield as an attacking force, but I think he can even play on the wing a little bit more, which would allow Forsberg to maybe go back into his more comfortable role in the middle.
Yeah, definitely.
There's so much versatility in that team. Sabater is quick. He can play pretty much any of 3 or 4 midfield positions. So I think that team is super flexible, and Nagelsmann is definitely one of my favorite coaches right now because it seems like he can turn players who have been deemed surplus to requirements or not effective enough at the top level and turn them into players who can be really useful for a attacking side. And I think as long as they can keep the majority of those players together as a group, they're going to maintain that competitiveness for the Champions League spots. I just think without Werner, the title is not going to be something they're challenging for because Werner is one of the players who's steadily progressed to being one of the best forwards in the world and is under 24 years old. And, it's hard to replace those sort of numbers and that sort of energy and that natural raw pace. That's hard to find. Getting goal contribution numbers and the raw pace and the ability to take a game by the scruff of the neck. I mean, that's something you see a lot in the Bundesliga, and then those players always move on.
Yeah.
So it happens quite often with that sort of thing.
All right, so that's all we got for Bundesliga this week. Pretty bland week, typical week. I mean, it was surprising too with Schalke actually winning or getting something, so you never know. But next, so the league that started back up last week was the Portuguese league, and we had a very interesting match week. So to start off, right on Wednesday, the first game back was against Portimonense and Gil Vicente, and the only goal that was scored, because it was 1-0 Portimonense that won. The only goal that went in was one of the best goals you're ever gonna see. It was amazing, like 40 yards out, banger, like curve in the other, like outside of the foot, curve the other way, top corner. I'm like, so this is what the league's gonna do.
That's what happens when you just when everything comes back and nobody's match sharp and
You're
gonna see some weird things happen.
Yeah. And then later that day, Famalicão beat Porto 2-1. Oh, here comes Amir. But Famalicão beat Porto 2-1. And as a Benfica fan, I'm like, wow, I'm so excited. Like, this is really good. I'm so excited for tomorrow. Yeah, Amir, welcome, buddy. You're a couple minutes late.
Yeah. Did you guys finish the Bundesliga part?
Yeah, we're already done with that.
Oh, okay.
We're talking Portuguese league right now.
All right.
So then the next day, a good match against Maritimo and Setúbal. It was at 1-1, and then Benfica play. And Benfica lay the fattest egg that I've ever seen.
The 0-0.
This makes it 3 draws in a row against mid-table teams.
3 draws?
Three draws in a row. And then this is what amazes me. This is at home. You have the guy on the video board putting out crowd noises, and Benfica still can't score. I figured that, like, before
How many games ago was the 0-0 versus Tondela?
What's up?
Was that last game or the one before? The game against Tondela where they drew 0-0, was that like 2 games ago or what?
That was just last game.
Oh, that was last game, but they drew 2 games before that as well.
Yeah, in the league. Not to say that they drew against Shakhtar Donetsk 3-3, losing the Europa League too. So I haven't seen them win in a good few months right now.
So how many games have been in after quarantine for Benfica? Is it only the one game?
It's only one game. Yeah, the Portuguese. Yeah, Portuguese league is only doing one match week or one game a match week, so or a week.
Oh,
should
I mean,
say.
yeah, they have 18. They have 18 teams, right? So they only
Yeah.
need 34 games.
Yeah, they're trying to capitalize on money too. So,
Uh-huh.
but so Benfica lose, or they practically lose this. So now the top of the league is tied at 60-60. Benfica in the league with goal differential, and then after the Benfica game, Sporting draw to Guimarães 2-2. So top 3 teams are not winning this week. 2 draws and a loss. Right. Then the next day, the first game of the next day on
Sporting,
Friday.
it's normal.
Yeah, and Sporting it's normal. I couldn't expect it more. Horrible goalie mishap and stuff like that, like typical. But the next day, the first game back, the 4th place team so it would be a 3rd place team, Braga. They lost. So top 4 teams in Portugal just did not win at all.
They all didn't win.
They all didn't win.
Who did Braga play?
Braga played Santa Clara. And Santa Clara is playing in mainland because they're from the Azores. They're playing mainland.
Aren't they like a recently promoted team within the last few years? Or
Yeah, 2 years ago, I believe.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so
did they lose by a goal, or was it like more than a goal they lost?
They lost 3-2.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It was just a crazy weekend off for the Portuguese league. Benfica fans are not happy. I'm not happy with the Benfica fans because Benfica fans decided some bums decided to stone the bus and 2 players got hurt. Julian Weigl, new import, and
he has experience from that.
because the Monaco bus.
Yeah.
Oh,
So this is the second time it's happened. Wow.
And then Zivkovic on his eye. So it's
the
crazy.
Serbian player.
Yeah,
that's something you really don't want to see, but it's something that a lot of leagues and governments actually had hesitation about with the leagues returning. How were fans going to react, especially with games behind closed doors? What were they going to do? And at least in Portugal, where we have some of these really tight fan bases, this is what's going to be the result. Of course, when you looking around Europe as the leagues start coming back, it's just something that teams have to be wary of. How are their fans going to react to things? Where are the fans going to pop up? You just got to be aware of that and be careful.
Yeah.
Do they still have laws in Portugal where you can't leave your house? Or
I'm not sure right now. I know they did have those. It's weird up in Portugal because they have a very unusual government. But at one point, I know in the Azores, because I have family in the Azores, they couldn't leave their house without identification and a reason. And if they were, they were sent back. Because there were.
Oh, they couldn't.
Yeah.
I thought you said they could.
They could not, because there was police checkpoints everywhere.
So do you think the people who went to throw stuff at the bus, is that already illegal just to go out and do that?
So I think in the mainland, right now people are allowed to go out because
it's been a few months.
Yeah. It's just that the Benfica fans are so upset because nothing's changed. This is probably the worst that I've seen them, and they just came off a 3-month layoff, and they play even worse than they did before the layoff. It's the tactics have not changed, and Bruno Lage.
But
really
I feel
needs
you
to
guys are really harsh though. Okay, when the team's doing bad, you can say it does bad. But I mean, were you guys at least happy when you guys were on a 17-win streak?
Yeah, that's the thing with Benfica fans is that you lose 2 games in a row or something like that, and then all the fans want the coach out.
Remember when they lost to
Bruno Lage? It's just that he needs to adapt, because if he's not going to adapt, he's going to ruin this year. We had a really good year and a really good last year. I really want a coach that stays for the team, like a Sergio Conceição at Porto. I want a guy who's going to be there, because you go back, Benfica can't hold a coach for more than 2 years. Jorge Jesus was gone in 2 years. Rui Vitória didn't even last a year and a half. Looks like Bruno Lage isn't going to last a year and a half. Who else are we going to get? Some bum out of the street or something? Hey, you want to coach Benfica? I'm sick of it.
Yeah, they'll probably
I want my Sir Alex Ferguson. That's what I want.
Yeah, I have a feeling they'll get someone like Sinisa Mihailovic. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
He coached for Sporting, and I think he didn't play a game, and then he lost his job.
Yeah, but this
they'll
happened to
get some
Benfica.
random manager.
this thing happening to Benfica sucks because you look at the rest of the league and see what the fans were doing. Like for the Santa Clara game, they were playing in the football capital, pretty much like that, and in the like swords. So there's no stands, pretty much, and where the camera was, you could see like this like a big panel, like a video panel, right? They had fans watching in from Zoom, so you get to see the fans there, like watching on TV through Zoom. Like that was
on the
cool.
stadium screen.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and then for Hiwa, they had like this drive-in like movie theater type thing, like where like the fans could drive in, sit in their cars, and watch the game, like stick their head out of the car and sing songs, whatever. And same thing with
I've seen that happen.
Yeah,
like
Michelin did that in Denmark as well.
Yeah, Michelin did it. That's right.
And another thing is like so the Hiwa Stadium is I think it was the Hiwa Stadium, but it's a very like old stadium, and like there's one wall that if you bring a ladder, you can look over the stands and watch the game. So they had fans doing that too. So it's like some cool things happening in Portugal with the fans, and then all of a sudden Benfica fans decided to throw rocks at the bus, hurting 2 players.
Yeah, that's stupid.
But I think Zivkovic might have a bigger problem than Weigl. But that's whatever. But looking ahead. Just looking at the big matchups, so Benfica have to go to the south side. They got to play Portimonense. Porto have to play Marítimo at home. Sporting have to play Passos Ferreira, and then Braga have to play Boa Vista. So this should be like if Benfica don't win this game, I'm finished. Like I'm so done. Like they need to win this. I remember last year Benfica went down to the south side, played Portimonense like a bottom of the league, like team. And they lost. I was like,
didn't they have Nakajima last year?
Yeah, they had Nakajima. They have a good team on paper. I don't know why this year they're not doing very good, but Port should be able to beat Marítimo. I don't know anything more about Sporting. Sporting can surprise me any.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I have no expectation for any of this. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if. Like with any result, honestly, like
especially
I wouldn't say I'm confident that Benfica or Porto will win.
Yeah,
like it's just gonna be so unexpected.
Yeah, well, that's the Portuguese league. I literally almost had a heart attack. I almost had a heart attack. To be honest.
Yeah, Benfica's recent form is so bad. They really need to get a win to start some momentum.
I know. Even their last win against Gil Vicente wasn't even that good. It's just unbelievable. It's just really unbelievable. Like I'm looking at the flag right now. I wake up every morning, right? And I look at this flag. And I'm like, one day I can actually be happy with this team.
Benfica flag?
Because every year I'm always disappointed with them. Even if they win the league, I'm still disappointed with them. Want to know why? Because when they win the league, they still blow it in Europe because, they're losing 6 out of 6 games, or they're blowing a lead in the Europa League, or they just lose in the Europa League because they're supposed to win the Europa League. Or maybe they give up a last-minute goal to Chelsea. Maybe they give up another last-minute. Like, they just lose everything. I just want them to win, and that's all I want. Just give me something in Europe.
They have the good.
We can win these like crappy-ass fucking Premier League titles all year round. I don't care. Give me something else to cheer for. Like, but this year they lose to Porto twice. They're gonna lose to them 3 times too. Watch, I already know it. If they're gonna keep playing like this, like I'm fed up with this.
You know about the Gutmann's curse?
Yeah, I know about I'm not gonna blame it on the Gutmann's curse. This guy coached the team in the 40s. He coached with the Zabu. That 40s team was with the Zabu. Like,
was it the 60s or?
Yeah, I'm sorry, the 60s. They beat Real Madrid like twice in a row or something and win the what would be the Champions League back then.
Yeah, but it's probably not a curse. They're just.
It's not a curse. It's just that they're ass. That's all it is. But that's my rant on the Portuguese league. I'm done talking about it. I'm done talking about it. I'm so fed up with it. Let's go to Serie or whatever, Coppa Italia, because I'm done with it.
They haven't played, right?
I think the Coppa Italia is coming back this week. And same thing with
La Liga. La Liga comes back.
Actually, no, we'll go to La Liga because Amir's here. That's actually perfect timing, Amir. So you're the La Liga guy here because you're the Barcelona fanboy.
Uh-huh.
I don't mean to say that, but fanboy.
Yeah, whatever.
So looking at the table right now, it's first and second place. Okay, all right, first of all, like we were Nick, Seth, and I were talking about this before. This year's really not that been good for La Liga. It's been very rough. Like Real Madrid had
It's
8
not.
draws.
It's very what?
It's very like not that very good. It's mediocre.
Yeah, I mean, Real Madrid. They're still like, they're still suffering from losing Ronaldo, and Barcelona are just bad. Like they just depend on Messi, and like they also lost Neymar a few years ago, which they haven't replaced him. Like they replaced him with Dembele and Coutinho, who haven't done anything. But
So the battles in the league right now, of course, for the title against Barcelona and Real Madrid. Barcelona ahead by 2 points.
Worse. It's a battle.
Yeah. So looking at it, I mean, it's a bit of a mess right now among the top teams in La Liga. They're all underperforming. So Barcelona should actually be in third. Actually, they're the only ones that are overperforming. They should be in third on expected points. Atletico should be first and Real second. And when you get down to it, it's just because that the attack of most of these teams has not been very good. Defensively, they've been most of the teams have been performing about to their what you'd expect. Real has been kept alive, I think, a little bit more by the likes of Thibaut Courtois, who's been absolutely fantastic this season.
Do you know his save percentage? Do you know like any of that stuff?
No, but I do know that, I mean, on expected goals, they should have conceded far more. They should have you would expect them to be a lot further back in terms of their defense. So
do you know if he's leading in like the Zamora Trophy too, like most clean sheets? I think he might be.
Yes, he is. And it's been kind of a weird season for Real, but they finally found their groove, and they were playing well leading up into the break. Looking forward, I think their start it's against Eibar, and Eibar are a smaller side, so they should win. But I mean, Eibar have always been a team to kind of punch above their weight. So
yeah,
we'll see. Orellana has had a good season for them, so it's difficult.
And Sergi Enrich still plays for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's also pretty good. What I would say is, Real Madrid, they've had some streaks of form, but no, I think just before the break, they definitely did slow down. They won against Barcelona, but I remember their last 12 points they could have gotten from La Liga or something. They got 4. I'm pretty sure for their last 4 games they got 4 points, and 3 of them were from Barcelona. Like, they won against Barcelona, obviously in El Clasico, but apart from that, like, they lost to Real Betis. They lost to Manchester City at home, and Sergio Ramos got a red card in that game, which means if the Champions League resumes, he won't play the second leg, which is obviously a huge blow. And then they lost against Levante as well, and they drew against Celta Vigo. So draw at home to Celta Vigo, loss away to Levante, and then loss away to Real Betis. So they've been pretty bad before the break. So it's interesting to see what will happen now. But I definitely think they should come away with the win against Eibar.
Well, they should. That's the thing. They should.
But I mean, their only consistent performers this season have been the likes of Benzema, Courtois.
Benzema's inconsistent, actually.
But he's actually had a very good season.
His
14
first
goals,
half
6
was amazing.
assists. I mean, there's really nothing you can complain about. He's on form, I would say, this season.
I mean, recently, like second half of the season, he's been pretty bad, but the first half he was amazing. Like, their best player, he carried Real Madrid for the first half of the season. But I'd say throughout the whole season, their surprise is probably Valverde. I think he's been like their top player. Valverde has always been a consistent performer since the start of the season.
I think Valverde appears to be their top performer because the other 2 midfielders who aren't Casemiro have been so poor defensively in the past year. So It looks like Valverde is this like astronomically better player than what they have in center midfield, but I think it's actually down to the fact that he's so much more youthful and so much more energetic, and
Yeah.
doesn't really have the passing and metronomic ability that a Modric or a Cruz have. But I mean, Cruz also has had a good season. Casemiro's had a good season. It just seems like their attack cannot figure out how to stay off the medical table, and also how to help Benzema take some of that goal scoring weight off of Benzema, because it seems like in the post Ronaldo era, nobody can step up to fill the goal contributions. We haven't seen Bale hit more than 10 goals in a couple seasons. Vinicius Jr. doesn't look like he's very potent in front of goal.
Yeah, you can look at Jovic.
Asensio has had 2 major injuries in 2 years. Luka Jovic can't seem to find a way into the team, can't score when he does play, and Hazard has been awful
Injured.
He has played.
Yeah, and this is going to be horrible for him because you see that they're coming back off of this long break, and as we've seen in the Bundesliga so far, like it's going to be hard to try and not stay off the medical table now, because I feel like out of all the teams, Real Madrid's had a lot of injuries happen this year, and you could see a lot coming in for him.
Yeah, I think it's remarkable with Real Madrid that I just mentioned all of those names of players who haven't been playing very well, and they still have Isco, James Rodriguez. They have the other Brazilian winger,
Rodrigo, Vinicius.
Rodrigo also was okay in the first half of the season, but hasn't continued his form. And their fullbacks have been good. They've had a pretty good defense. I mean, 19 goals conceded is incredible.
No, that's
and a lot of that credit has to go to Courtois. But also, there's been some new faces in that defense who have also played well. Ferland Mendy's pretty good, and Eder Militao probably needs another half season before he's going to look super comfortable at that pace. But I mean, he looks like he's going to be a future star, and I think Valverde is an incredible asset to keep in that team, because he'll be able to, I would assume, fill the shoes of Casemiro as Casemiro ages out. But they if they really want to challenge Barcelona, who I think we've all admitted are having a very off year, Real Madrid need to figure out their forward line, because if Messi is fit for an entire season and Barcelona go for Lautaro Martinez, they are going to be a dramatically better team going forward than Real Madrid are. So Real Madrid really need to figure that out, because if you're spending 100 million plus euros on Eden Hazard and getting absolutely nothing out of him,
that's what
even the Ousmane Dembele signing doesn't look that bad.
Yeah, I was going to say, they signed
even
Hazard.
Dembele's fee doesn't look that bad if Hazard is much older than Dembele and doing even less than Ousmane, much older than Dembele, doing less in front of goal.
Yeah,
so they really need to figure that out.
What's really hurt Real Madrid this year is Hazard. They were really high on Hazard. They really needed Hazard to be the Hazard of Chelsea. So Hazard leaves Chelsea in the dust. Maybe he just says, see you later, sayonara. He comes to Real Madrid, right? Over the summer, he packs on 60 fucking pounds. What is he doing? This has been a rough episode for me. But he packs on all this weight for what? What are you doing? You're going to the biggest club in the world, one of the biggest clubs in the world, and you pack on that much weight, and you're like, oh, I just have fun. I just need to have fun. Buddy, you're getting paid to play soccer, and you're going to put on that much weight and be that out of fit. So you screw Chelsea for leaving. First of all, that's what he does. He screws Chelsea. Imagine Frank Lampard with Chelsea, or Frank Lampard and Chelsea with Hazard, unstoppable probably. That's the thing that they need. But instead, Hazard leaves Chelsea in the dust, goes to Real Madrid, packs on all that weight, doesn't care that much anymore. It really seems like.
Gets injured twice.
Yeah, gets injured twice. He's so out of shape, and he's like, oh, I just needed to have fun. It just amazes me. I thought it's 2 big rants so far in this episode, guys.
Well, honestly, I mean, first of all, I think that was the most baller move that Eden Hazard could have done, to just show up overweight. I thought that was hilarious. But secondly, I think really what it is it's the team itself lacks that consistent group of players who will play week in, week out. Those that have been consistent in the team have been good. They haven't been up to what you would say is Real Madrid standard. So obviously, Seth and Amir highlighted Fede Valverde. And personally, I mean, you look at him, he's been played all around, so it's really hard to actually get a gauge on what he is and what he will be going forward for Madrid. He's a good dribbler. He has a very high success rate with his dribbles. But, I mean, the Clásico, he played out wide on the right. Most of the time he's kind of been deployed in that midfield along with Kroos and Casemiro. And Seth's right. It really is that youthful energy. He provides the legs that Kroos, Casemiro don't necessarily have because of their age. And consequently, that's why he looks so adept in that midfield. So, but in fairness, I think that was really smart from Zidane to make that decision anyway. So personally, I still think that they have a really good shot at the title because Zidane has actually improved as a coach this year. I mean, you can talk about 3 consecutive Champions Leagues all you want, but I think this is the first season that Zinedine Zidane has actually stepped up as a good manager and as a good coach, and has surprised me with his tactics. At least shown that he has some understanding of decent tactics and how he can set the side up when he has players who are injured, underperforming, and
players don't even want to be there too, because you can't forget about like how, like, say what you will about Zidane, he's actually a really good coach. I think highly of him as a coach, but he really did not handle the Gareth Bale and James Rodriguez situations professionally. I don't think he, like, just going out and saying I don't want him here, like, then you're trying to force him out of the team. I mean, good for Gareth Bale for staying, and he's doing his job now. Doesn't have to like the coach or not. That's the guy I respect that a lot. I feel like, Zidane has bitten the bullet, and he's gonna let Gareth Bale play because he knows he's a good player. He's gonna work around him. So I feel like, he's done a good job that so far this year. But in terms of adapting, I think I agree with you, Nick. He's done a really good job with that too. Because if you really think about it, they really should not be second place. The 8 draws. Like, imagine, just think about, if they win one of those games, right? One of those draws, then they're in the league.
Yep.
Table. I can't think of every one of their games right now. If they blew a game last minute or something, but just imagine
they have blue if you can confirm that.
All right, so
especially at home to Celta Vigo, they blew that. They let in an 85th minute goal. In the beginning of the season, against Real Valladolid at home, they let in an 88th minute equalizer. I remember that.
If they have that last minute defending, they could be easily in first place. So they do have good quality, maybe better quality than Barcelona. Barcelona's had a very unusual year. At the beginning of the year, Messi was injured at the beginning of the year, right?
Mm-hmm.
For a few games, yeah.
Yeah, I remember they lost their first game against Celta Vigo. If I'm not mistaken.
I know they lost against Granada, and then.
Oh, no, it was definitely Granada.
Their first game was against.
Athletic.
They conceded.
Yeah.
That was Aduriz's only goal of the season, and he is actually retired now, so he will not be coming back for the match against Atleti this weekend. So yeah.
So out of all the leagues that are coming back right now, this is the one that I'm probably most interested in, because you look at the top 2, because it's very typical.
Serie.
This pretty much, Serie is, you got to think about that. Serie is also a big one, but again, all these leagues right now, it's between the top 2 teams.
Serie could potentially be a 3-way race because Inter, they're still kind of in it.
They're 10 points behind.
10?
I'd give more credit to Atalanta being in it than Inter.
Yeah.
Atalanta, I think they're too many points behind though. I think Inter is 6
Inter's 10, I think.
But Atalanta were on the best form other than Lazio of any team going into the break.
Yeah, right now it's between Juventus and Lazio. So
who do you
think is going to win that?
Yeah. And Lazio's number.
We'll move on into the Serie. We'll move into Serie A right now since we're talking about it. So so it's between, again, top 2. Juventus in first place with 63 and Lazio in second place with 62. And it's actually 9 points Amir.
But they have a game in hand. Do they not have a game in hand?
Yes, they do have a game in hand. I did see that.
there,
You're
that's
absolutely
right.
right.
That's
Same thing
right.
with Atalanta with 48.
Regardless of the game in hand, it really was the game against Inter behind closed doors that set the tone because
Oh, I just
it went
remembered.
into the break
Juventus.
right after that, and
I forgot
Inter
about
were already looking super shaky, and Juventus just seemed to be able to win games by one goal over these small teams, whereas Inter faltered against those teams, and then they go play behind closed doors, and Juventus beat them, and suddenly Inter's season doesn't look like a success at all.
Mhm.
They're in the Europa League, which I don't think they want to be in the Europa League.
Yeah, I
They
don't
certainly could win the Europa League, but I don't think they
I
want to
mean,
be
if they
there.
really want to salvage
And
something from this year, it
Antonio
needs to be
Conte
that.
is not a Europa League coach. Antonio
Yeah.
Conte wants to win the Champions League. He wants to win the league
Yeah.
title. You
And
don't
they're
take in a
they're
coach
also
as
still
high a
in
name
the
as that
Coppa
to be in the
Italia,
Europa
too.
League. They
They're
are in the
also-
Coppa Italia.
So they're down 1-0
They're
against
down a goal,
Napoli.
yeah.
They're down 1-0 to
And,
Napoli.
and I believe those are the first games that are coming back. Yeah. So,
Yep.
So
And
the
that's
12th and the
massive.
13th.
That's massive for Napoli season and for Inter season.
Yeah, and I think this is this is a smart move on Italy though, putting these matches before the league matches.
Yeah, I like
Absolutely.
that.
So
And there's no other cup to worry about too. Once those are out of the way, it's just the cup final after that.
yeah, which will be taking place June 17th. So it'll be on a Wednesday. I don't know why they would put it on a Wednesday, but I mean, I
Yeah,
guess no one's doing anything anymore. So
Yeah,
people
I
watch it.
forgot about the Juventus versus Inter game. I guess it's because it was behind closed doors. But yeah, I actually forgot they lost that. But that definitely sealed it for them. And before that too, they lost a very big game against Lazio. So like they couldn't afford that. They had to win against Juventus if they ever wanted a chance to win the title.
They
If
quite
they won
honestly
the-
looked pathetic against Lazio.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna go with that.
and it's for weeks before the break happened, Inter looked horrible. Definitely not title contenders.
Yeah.
This is the weakest Juventus have ever been, and Inter were barely in it. Just barely. They pipped them a couple times, but that's because Juventus were losing. Not even losing. They were dropping points against like these small teams in like
Hellas
one or
Verona.
two games. Hellas
Well,
Verona.
I think something that you got to look at is the squad and the way it's been set up has actually slightly changed over the course of the season. And at the start, they had that core midfield of Brozovic, Sensi, and Borrella. And that's chopped and changed throughout the season. Obviously, Brozovic has been fantastic and easily one of the top 10 midfielders in Europe this season. But they have had fitness issues with the other two. And so I think that especially in one of the most demanding systems that you can play, which is an Antonio Conte system, you're going when you don't have that consistency from all of your players, you do suffer. So I think when you look at the back line, Bastoni's come in and he's looked quite good.
De Vries having a career season.
Oh yeah, absolutely fantastic.
But Skriniar's been basically non-existent.
Yep.
And Godin has had a pretty poor year.
He has had a very poor year. People want Bastoni to start over him every week now.
Handanovic has had an excellent season. So
Handanovic has always been a savior for Inter.
Yeah, he's always been incredible. But you have these big name defenders that you expect these great performances out of, and it's your 36 or 35-year-old keeper who's keeping you in games. Baraghi at left back has been better than Asamoah, who's a Serie A veteran. He's Ashley Young's played on the left like twice or something like that. That back line is just so confused.
They have Romelu Lukaku actually scoring goals too.
And he's
he's
been incredible in a team that doesn't actually create that many chances for him.
Yeah.
He's created a lot of goals for himself, which he was doing at United. But the problem was at United, people weren't creating chances for him. And the problem is the same at Inter. It's just he's been able to find these goals, whereas it's been a combination of him and Lautaro Martinez up top. But if Martinez isn't playing and Lukaku is, he can still score. But you don't see goals from the rest of their team. Kandreva is more of a defender now than he was an attacker.
Alexis Sanchez is washed off.
Alexis Sanchez has been good creatively, but
not when it comes down to it. I think
exactly.
He's like, I expected a semblance of a revival, and we've seen him definitely improve, but we haven't seen him go all the way to what we thought.
And the injuries held him back. When you've had when you've had as bad of a season as he had last year, and you still get injured when you go to a new team, that's gonna completely throw off your trajectory on the comeback trail. And he's back training with United, and I don't even know what the situation is there. So
Wait, he is? He's back at United?
I still have him on the roster for Inter right now.
No, he's still, but he's just training with United.
He was just training with United, but apparently United players have come out and said that he's training very well. But it's like, does he have a future at United? Does he have a future at Inter? I'm not sure.
Is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer actually know what to do with him?
I mean, the thing is, like, I think Solskjaer wants Alexis Sanchez, but I think he also realizes that his asset is falling steadily every year, and they might need to do something about that. And it's just like, how can United have Sanchez on the books and then also be looking at someone like Jadon Sancho when you have this young player who's incredible, is only getting better, and then you have a $300K a week player in your club who's doing
Sanchez like $500K a week?
It doesn't financially make sense. And Serie A always seems to be able to give good wages to these players who are having bad seasons and get revivals out of them. Mm-hmm. And like Ciro Immobile is an example of that. When he went back to Serie A, he had a complete career revival after the mess he had in Sevilla and Borussia Dortmund. And he's on high wages, but he's performing and he's not injury prone. And Inter can't afford to pay. They do have these new Chinese owners who have a lot of money, but they can't afford to pay these players who are doing nothing all this money. They can't afford to pay Godin those wages, Sanchez those wages, if they want to keep someone like Lautaro Martinez and entice him with an offer that's worth his talent, because he truly looks like the next big thing and might leave for Barcelona in the summer. And that would really prove that this season for Inter is a failure if they don't qualify for the Champions League, if they don't win Coppa Italia, and they lose their gem that they signed from the Argentine league very under the radar. It's ridiculous. Like,
and we can't forget that they just signed Christian Eriksen too.
Exactly.
Like that's surprising because like
huge wages.
Yeah.
Massive wages.
That's surprising because like we literally just had like a good 5-minute talk about Inter. Christian Eriksen was not even
back to Nick's point, how do they put Eriksen in that team?
He doesn't fit in the system.
Exactly. If their ideal midfield is Barella, Sensi, and Brozovic, where does Eriksen play? There's no spot for him there. The 3 in midfield is already filled. He can't do the defensive work of
Does they play 3 at the back?
They do play 3 at the back, and they use wing backs. And it's been Ashley Young and Baragi.
Yep.
Baragi starts.
Since the winter transfer.
What about Victor Moses? Is Victor Moses?
He's traded off occasionally with Young on the right.
Oh, Young.
Yep. So I don't know about Inter. I think when we're looking at Serie A, I think it's probably going to be Juventus, but I think that comes down to the strength and depth over the actual quality of the side, because the best side in Italy over the past couple of years has been Atalanta. I don't think that's really up for debate, honestly. But in terms of depth, it's, Juventus they just have the quality that gets them through, particularly when you're coming back and there's an increased risk of injury. There's all these types of different factors that are coming in. I think just because of the strength and depth that they have, I think that's what's going to carry them through the end of the season.
I agree totally.
Immobile, as for Lazio, Immobile, Luis Alberto, those are players who are going to come back and they got a bang, but I don't know if they will hit the ground as easily as Juventus can and ease into things and have the backup that they have. So, yeah, looking forward to these Coppa Italia matches. I'm excited to see, that midfield of Napoli back in action. I love Fabian Ruiz. I love Peter Zielinski. That's a really dynamic and fun midfield to watch.
Allen as well in the midfield.
Yeah, though he hasn't performed to the level that he has the last couple of seasons. But yeah, I think it should be an exciting weekend for that.
And so,
Yeah, I would like to point out with Juventus though, they still have some massive games to play. Juventus will have to play
Yep.
Milan, Atalanta, Lazio, and Roma before the season ends.
the
Wow.
Lazio game. The
So
Lazio game is a big
they
one.
have 2 games against people who are right on their tail, and then Roma are never easy with their defense. The way their defense has been playing, they're
Mhm.
never easy to beat, and it's just like I don't know if Juventus is as clear in a way.
Well,
Even if Lazio falter, I don't think that Atalanta will do poorly enough to not make it competitive up there. So I think Juventus need to be careful, and they definitely benefited from the break though, because they had a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
They will be starting to come back, and they'll certainly look better. And
All right.
Ronaldo looks ready. He looks
Yeah,
like he's
Ronaldo never
at the-
stops working. Ronaldo's always
Yeah.
training. Like, I
It looks like
remember
ready
listening to
to
Patrice Evra
come back.
saying that. I remember when Patrice Evra was playing with them, and Patrice Evra was like, "I never want to go back to your house ever again," because like at lunch
Yeah.
at his house is like training. Like Ronaldo never stops training. So like
Mhm.
there's a reason why he's like in a body of like his body's like what I remember someone saying it was like a 26-year-old body, but he's like 33 years old. That's just
Mhm.
unbelievable. But for the Serie A, I think we should do our predictions for at least the top 6, and then we'll do Coppa Italia first. So who do we think is going to win Coppa Italia? I'll go to Seth first.
I think Napoli need a reason to be optimistic for the future. They have a lot of good young players, but they've been just like truly terrible in the first half of the season. They were really, really bad. And I think they'll have motivation to win that, because I don't think they are going to do absolutely anything in the league. So
they
I
have
would say
nothing to play
Napoli.
for. League.
They have nothing to play for, so I would say Napoli.
Well, they have that 6th place spot, or even.
Yeah,
I mean
but
Europa League, but who cares?
they don't want to be
Yeah,
in the Europa League.
Well, isn't the domestic cup winner go to Europa League, or is it Champions League? I'm not sure.
No, it goes to Europa League, but again, like if they qualify for it, they're not going to try in Europa League. You just know they're not going to try.
They just want to get the money and get out. But Amir, what do you got?
Yeah, I was actually going to say I think Napoli too, because I mean Juventus. I mean, Inter are a good shout too, but Napoli have the 1-goal lead. I think they could. I think they'll edge Inter. And if Napoli, I'm assuming that Juventus will get to the final, but obviously, like you never know what's going to happen with that. Like it's 1-1 with Milan, but Milan could still pull an upset. But let's just say the finals Juventus versus Napoli. I can see Napoli easily winning that, because Juventus will be struggling with the league, and like Napoli going to put their full focus on it, because Napoli, they are 9 points away from Atalanta at 4th, who have a game over them, so that could potentially be 12 points away.
Mhm.
It's just not possible for them to make the Champions League. They can put all their focus in Coppa Italia and win it. It's only 1 game too. Like they can.
And they're technically still in the Champions League. It's only 1-1 against Barca.
True. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, but that's like in like.
But I just think their best avenues to getting back to the Champions League are going to be through cup competition.
Yep.
And Nick, what do you got?
Or getting back to a European
I'll
competition will be through
I'll be boring
the
and say
Coppa
Juventus will win
Italia,
the-
or I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I'll be boring and say Juventus will win the Coppa Italia. I don't expect them to falter too much.
Be Ronaldo hat tricks all the way.
No, I think Paulo Dybala and Juan Cuadrado will pull through.
Come on, Ronaldo's gonna score at least
All
1
right,
goal.
so we all have the pretty different ones, but I'm gonna say Inter. I think Inter really need this. It doesn't matter if they win it because they're not going to Europa League, but they just need to win a trophy.
I mean, Milan are actually 3 points behind Napoli in the league table. They're actually in a worse position. They're in a worse position than Napoli. That's interesting, because Napoli, they've actually won 5 of their last 6 Serie A games, which is amazing.
The recent form is
just
pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, the recent form's very good. Before that, it was atrocious.
They lost 3-2 to Lecce, though, which is classic Napoli.
Yeah, at home too.
Conceding 3 goals to a team that most people actually don't know exists.
The
All right, so-
18th.
It'd be like that.
All right, now moving into the Serie A. So just to predict for the champion, right? So I'll look at it as the top 3 teams right now have a chance. So you have Juventus with 63, Lazio with 62 points, and then Inter with 54. I'm going to say mine first. I think that Lazio are going to pull this out. I want to see something crazy. This year, 2020 has been an unusual year for everything. So I don't know what's going to be surprising, what's not going to be surprising. So I'm going to say Lazio, just because I just want to see something crazy happen. Will it happen? Probably not, but I just want to see it happen.
Yeah.
Amir, you can tell yours. Yeah, tell yours.
I was gonna say, for me personally, I feel like before the break, I was actually very confident Lazio would win because, like, their fans have never seen this in so many years, so they'd be like super, super, super excited. They'd push their team on, but like that's a huge miss for them to play without the fans. So that's why I think it's definitely less of a chance now after this whole coronavirus thing for them to win the title. But I still want to see them win. I still think like. Okay, if I was to make a realistic prediction, I'd say Juventus, but I want Lazio to win 100%.
How about you, Nick?
My predictions.
I expect Juventus to win. The race for the Champions League, I think, is probably the more interesting of the two. I think Lazio won't. I don't think they'll be able to string together the results. It's very difficult to after the restart, as we've seen. So I think. I'm going to say that Juventus will pull this through, and I'm going to keep my eye on the race for third and fourth spot.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that just a second because I want to hear those too. But Nick, who you got? Or not Nick, Seth.
I think Juventus will pull through. Aaron Ramsey is finally having a season where he doesn't have a major injury.
He's finally having a season.
Paulo Dybala's been putting up great numbers, even though he's been benched for a significant number of games for a player of his caliber. Juan Cuadrado's been excellent at right back.
Very underrated year for him.
I think he's a very like strangely underutilized player in his career, and now has found a spot in a team where I didn't expect him to have any role. Federico Bernardeschi seemingly isn't getting the amount of minutes that I would expect him to, but they have all these amazing players, I think, especially in midfield that can
Are they all fit too? Do you know if they're all fit now?
Well, I would assume so.
I think the only major player in Juventus' squad who isn't fit right now are two players are Demiral and Chiellini.
Yep.
Two of the defenders.
The rest of the team is fit. I think Matthijs de Ligt will be very motivated to get back into the team and play better and grow as a player. I think he's sort of a natural-born leader, and I think the first part of the season probably has bugged him a lot after the season he had last year. So I think he's going to try to fill the shoes a little bit. And certainly Dybala has filled the facilitative forward role of Mandzukic's departure. So I think they have a great team. And yes, Lazio have scored a lot of goals and look good. But like Nick said, Juventus have pretty incredible depth. And I think a very good coach who had a sort of shaky year. So
yeah, Higuain's still there. I mean, we didn't mention him. Like obviously he's declined.
He started off very well, and his
had goals
stats are very good.
Yeah, he's had goals in big games,
but
hasn't scored a lot. Yeah, and obviously Ronaldo. You can't count out Ronaldo.
Yeah, Ronaldo's always there. But the big match is going to, of course, be Juventus versus Lazio. Whoever wins that, we don't know.
Yeah, that's a title decider. That's like the Dortmund versus
depending on what the results are before then, but
it'll be a delicate Felipe Caicedo chip over Szczesny, just like Joshua Kimmich.
Yeah, there you go. That's what we want to see. All right. So the battle is for the last Champions League spot right now, and the teams that could get it. So right now we have Atalanta with 48 points in fourth place, Roma with 45 in fifth, Napoli in sixth place with 39, and I'm like, maybe we
don't count Milan.
Yeah, okay, I won't count Milan for those teams. Now, who do we think is going to get that last Champions League spot? I think Nick's answer is set in stone. Atalanta. So we'll move on to Seth. But Seth, what do you got?
I've been a fan of Atalanta for a few years. I think despite the age of their forward line, they have a really great team. Their wing backs have looked incredible this year. I think both of their wing backs are due for Hans Hateboer and Goossens are due for moves probably if Atalanta can't keep them around, because a lot of teams are employing that system. I think Atalanta truly look like the team of the future in Serie A, and I think they're going to wrap up the Champions League spot. They've looked incredible in Europe, and they've had a lot of great results this year. So I'm gonna go with Atalanta.
Yeah, this deep run in the Champions League and making Champions League again is big money. So
It'd be huge, yeah.
yeah, massive.
And they have some good young players coming through as well.
If they beat Barcelona in the Champions League too, I don't know.
Well, Napoli's facing them.
Napoli.
Oh, I'm thinking Napoli. Who am I thinking?
I mean, they could face them in the quarterfinals.
It's literally been like
results against Valencia.
I've forgotten everything that's going on in Champions League. So
all I know,
all I remember is that Benfica laid another egg. That's all I need to remember. But
And don't forget that Lyon have a lead against Juventus right now.
That they do.
Yeah, too.
I mean, only by 1 goal, but yeah.
But so I'll give mine next. I think Atalanta's got that spot set pretty much.
I don't think it's a race, honestly, because Inter are too many points ahead. I feel like they could still make it close, but they'll get it. And Atalanta, they have a game in hand over Roma and Napoli, so I feel like it's just the top 4 the way it is. I might like get arranged, like some might. The top 4 right now, it's gonna be a top 4. I think that's like for sure. But also, wait, one question I had since you brought up Lyon versus Juventus. Have you guys ever heard of if like the away goal rule will still take place, considering that there's going to be like no fans in the stadiums?
I would assume it would.
The actual it's hard to say what exactly they're doing for the Champions League because they haven't actually announced
anything. Yeah, I think
everything.
they're gonna. I'm pretty sure they're going to be waiting for all these.
There's
leagues
talk
to be
of
finished.
them moving the final to Lisbon from Istanbul. That's what's come out this week. There hasn't been much else for the Champions League other than that it will be done by the end of August.
Yeah.
Okay. Before the start of the next leagues.
Correct.
Okay.
Which is going. Or actually, we can talk about the 6th place spot too, because Napoli have
Verona have a game in hand over them, and they've been in decent form.
Yeah.
Hellas Verona. Yeah.
So it's Napoli with 36, Milan with 36. Or I'm sorry, Napoli with 39, Milan with 36, Verona and Parma 35.
Sassuolo, Cagliari have had bad form, but they're still in it. Like they're only like 4 points behind.
And keep your eye on Boga at Sassuolo.
Yeah, Boga.
Massive dribble numbers.
he looks like truly an incredible player, and I could see a big move for him soon.
Isn't he owned by Chelsea?
Yes, but I don't believe he's going back there.
I don't think he is contracted with them anymore.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, but really looks like an incredible player, and Sassuolo have had a good
Berardi too.
Berardi for their recent form has been pretty terrible. So they've had a pretty good season. But yeah, I think Serie A looks like an interesting story, certainly from about the 11th place up. So I think a lot of people will be glued to the screens once it resumes.
Yeah, there's like 7 teams I think that could make that. They're like challenging for Europa League.
It's a qualification spot, so they have to go through a round. That's 6th place.
They'd have to go through Celtic, Rangers.
maybe one of the top 2 Portuguese teams, maybe.
Yeah. Braga.
Yeah.
I'd go down to saying like Cagliari or however you pronounce it. They're still in it. They're still in it for.
João Pedro has had a good season.
Yeah.
9 goals also. 9 goals has been pretty good.
He's been decent, yeah. So looking forward, everybody, actually, question, with all the leagues coming back, are there any teams or players that you guys are interested or really excited to see again for these last few games?
Should I go
in any league or just
in any league? Any
yeah, I think we could all pick one player or one team.
Yeah, I'll pick a team. Yeah, definitely a team.
Okay, I guess I'll go first. But I was gonna say, Atalanta's teams I want to watch. The team I want to watch. And the player in specific for me is Duvan Zapata, because last season he had like 27 goals or something. Mm-hmm. Like he was up there with top scorer, I think like just behind Immobile. And he was injured for most of like the start of the season. So it'll be interesting to see him come back and like smash some goals. But that's for Serie A, I'd say Atalanta and Duvan Zapata, who I want to keep an eye out for.
I'll probably say the same thing, honestly. The Atalanta team's very fun to watch. Score a lot of goals. 70 goals this year alone.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think they're close to like the record of all time for like most goals. Yeah.
Well, what do you guys? What are the other two there? You guys can fight for it. What do you guys got?
I'm excited to see Real Sociedad.
In
They've
Spain,
been
yeah.
really very good this season.
Uh-huh.
Everybody's chipped in. Alexander Isaac, Martin Odegaard. For me in particular, I'm excited to see Mikel Merino because as far as some of the best midfielders in La Liga, this season he's been absolutely fantastic. He's doing more than it's almost up to 4 defensive actions a game. Really good aerial win rate. I mean, he's a very, very, very good passer of the ball. Decent ball progression. So I would say Sociedad with Mikel Merino and Martin Odegaard.
Yeah. Oyarzabal too is also very
Oh
good
yeah,
player.
he's had a very good season. Yep.
I think Willian Jose. I think he's been inconsistent this year though, but the years before he always gets like 10 plus goals a season. Willian Jose, player to add to the mix.
Rob, am I contained to just Serie A and La Liga?
No,
Or-
you can do anywhere you want.
Well, I would say in the Premier League, the race for 4th place is going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of teams had major injuries to players, and those players have recovered. The likes of Heung-min Son, Harry Kane, Paul Pogba, Marcus Rashford.
That's
That's
big. That's really big for Tottenham.
They're all at full fitness according to both of those teams' medical teams. But I would say I'm very excited to watch Manchester United against Tottenham. I think that'll be a very good game. And I think the battle for 4th place is going to come down to whether Chelsea can win games against smaller teams and because United probably have the easiest run out of all of them. I think it's going to come down to Chelsea's consistency against poor teams, but I do want to see a midfield of Pogba and Bruno. I think that's going to be pretty incredible to watch if Ole can figure out a way to get them into a team, because if you can get Marcus Rashford, Anthony Martial, Paul Pogba, and Bruno Fernandes in one team all firing, that's going to be a pretty dangerous forward line to look out for in the coming season. So I think that's really exciting.
And the best player in the world too, Messi Lingard. He's horrible.
Don't forget Andreas Dino Pereira.
Oh, there you go.
Oh yes,
there you go. That's what you want.
And
That's what we all want to watch.
Don't forget about Nick Sauce.
You're gonna kill me. You're gonna kill me.
All right, but my team to watch, I'll go to Premier League too, is Sheffield. Our recently promoted team done a really cool job. I love the way they play. I actually have a scarf right over there for them. I've liked this team since their first year in the Champions League in the championship. Yeah, I've really liked it. I love watching Chris Wilder do his thing with these tactics, because you hear what they do and they make no sense, but it works. Like, he sends these center backs flying up the field.
Yeah, he's overlapping center backs.
It's awesome. I really like to see it. And this team on paper does not look that good. It's just everybody knows what they're supposed to do, and the coaching's really high.
5 relegations.
Dean Henderson for PSA Player of the Year.
Yeah. Yes, of course. It's too bad that Manchester United's going to take him away.
Yeah.
From us, it's going to hurt me. But yeah, that's my team to watch. And from the team, like, there's really nobody to watch in specific. They've had some good performers. Lys Mousset, Billy Sharp. He hasn't had that fantastic year that everybody is accustomed to, because Billy Sharp is the championship scorer. Scores the first game of the Premier League, no cap.
He faded.
Yeah, it's just that Sheffield just haven't had that consistent striker. But they don't need it, because the whole team plays. They've had so many different goal scorers. It's amazing. So for my player, I'll say the whole team of Sheffield United.
Nice.
But I think that's all we got for this episode, right, boys?
Yep.
Yeah,
sure.
All right, I want to thank you guys for watching Sports Life Network's Soccer Report. I'm Rob, Seth, Nick.
Yep. Yeah. Cheers.
We're gonna work on our outros, and
we do.
What do you got to say here?
Oh,
give us some words of wisdom.
Hi.
There you go, everybody.
Excellent.
Thank you for watching. Leave a comment down below. Who do you think is going to win in Serie A? Who do you think is going to win in Portugal? Just tell us everything. Anything and everything. You could talk about how I look stupid or something. I don't care. Say something. Thank you for watching. Cheers.